Hello YouTube. The next citation of Old Testament prophecy in the Gospel of Matthew only shows up in Matthew. This is in Matthew 13 verses 34 and 35. Jesus told the crowd all these things in parables. Without a parable he told them nothing. This was to fulfill what had been spoken through the prophet. I will open my mouth to speak in parables. I will proclaim what has been hidden from the foundation of the world. Now, before I get into the prophecy, I find it a little interesting that there's actually two different reasons given in Matthew 13 for the reason why Jesus speaks in parables. I'll link to the other passage in Matthew, which is in verses 10 through 17. And the reason given for Jesus speaking in parables at that time was because the people wouldn't understand the parables. Where in verses 34 and 35 it says that Jesus speaks in parables in order to proclaim hidden things. Two very different meanings, at least in my mind. But what verse 35 is quoting from is Psalm 78 verse 2. Now, from Psalm 78, I'm going to read verses 1 through 4. A maskil of Asaph. Give ear, O my people, to my teaching. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings from of old, things that we have heard and known, that our ancestors have told us. We will not hide them from their children. We will tell to the coming generation the glorious deeds of the Lord and his might, and the wonders that he has done. So, give ear, O my people, that's immediately referring directly to the people of Israel. But I find an interesting textual change here, because the Gospel of Matthew says, I will proclaim what has been hidden from the foundation of the world, where Psalm 78 says, I will utter dark sayings from of old. Of old is very much different than hidden from the foundation of the world. Now, why does Psalm 78 use of old? Because in verse 3, it says, things that we have heard and known that our ancestors have told us. These are things that the Israelites had been taught, but they had forgotten, that they had put aside. It's not referring to an entirely new thing that Jesus is going to tell them through parables. It's not a fit at all. And the writer of the Gospel of Matthew intentionally left out verse 3 because it completely defeats the reason why they use the passage.